Welcome to my 2026 In the Bag, brought to you by Squatch. This year I'm rocking the Cherry Red Legend and I absolutely love it. Before we get to the discs, let me tell you about my bag. One of the reasons I love my Legend so much is because it can do everything. Not only does it have a magnetic phone pocket, but also super spacious side pockets where you can keep hoodies, umbrellas, and any sort of things that you might need. Now I have about 20 discs on the bottom and about 8 on the top, and it might be overkill, but it's exactly what I'm looking for. Alright, now let's start with my approach slab. Starting with my putting putters, I'm putting with the Halo Nexus Invaders. I've been putting with these for about 3 years, and I've loved them ever since. I've thought a couple times about changing them up, but they just work so well for my putt, and they just fly dead straight. They have a nice little beam, which I love, and I don't think I'm going to be changing these soon. So I don't know if you can tell, but I absolutely love my Invaders. I think I have 6 Invaders in my bag total. So starting with one of the Invaders that have been in my bag for the longest is my Halo Invader. This one flies pretty dead straight, maybe with a little bit of fade at the end, but otherwise pretty neutral, and it'll hold about any flight I put it on. This one's also an Invader, but in the luster plastic. A friend actually gave this one to me, and I've loved it ever since. It flies just like my Halo Invader, but maybe with a little bit of flip at the end, and there is a difference between them whenever I need to throw them for an approach shot. So I love this disc, and I'm throwing it pretty flat most of the time, or if I have a scramble shot and I need to throw a wide anhyzer, it'll just hold that flight really nicely. This Invader actually used to be a putting putter, but it got really flippy, so I just thought that it could be an approach disc for me where I need something to flip up like crazy. I'm scramble or I'm in the woods and I just need something to quickly turn over. So this disc works really nice for that. Finally, the last Invader I have in my bag. I just put this one in my bag. It has my newest Eva stamp, and I love the way this disc feels, and I love the color of it. So I thought I might as well put this in my bag. So I'm not going to be able to tell you too much about the way it flies, but you're going to be seeing this disc more in the future. This is my AVR X3. I love this disc so much. It flies pretty dead straight, but then it has a reliable fade at the end. So I throw this disc on approach shots like 90% of the time, and it works really well for me. Then for my super trusty dusty Toro, I have this signed by Calvin Heinberg, and I've had this in my bag since my very first major at US Women's about 2.5 years ago. So this disc has a lot of history. It used to be a lot more stable, but now it flies pretty straight and then has a nice reliable finish at the end. So I throw this disc on like every single approach shot. It works so well for forehands, so it works so well for backhands, and yeah, I don't think I'll ever take out this disc out of the bag. Then for my last approach disc, this is the Star Toro. I absolutely love this team stamp and this color together. This one flies just like that Toro, but way overstable. This also works really well for forehands, backhands, and if I just need to maybe throw like a spike Kaiser over to the basket, or sometimes I even putt it to the basket actually. If there's like a tree in front of me and I'm straddling out, I can just do a putt with it and then have that nice fade at the end. Alright, moving on to my mid-ranges. I have my Rock X3. I don't really throw this disc too often, but it does come in handy whenever I need it. This one flies pretty dead straight and then has a nice bite at the end, and most of the time I'm just throwing it on maybe like a wide open hole where I need something to push pretty straight and then have it fade at the end, and this disc is really nice. Then I have my Gator 3, which flies pretty similarly to the Toros, but it feels quite different. It has a bigger bead and it's just a completely different disc, and I don't know, the stamp is just so cool. So there's a time and place where I'd pick this disc over the Toros, so I mean it's just also a really cool looking disc. Then I have my Proto Glow J. This disc is such a cool looking disc. I love this one. This J flies pretty straight and then has fade at the end. So it used to be more stable, but now it's just a really straight disc and then it has good fade at the end. So I do throw this disc quite often. Then we have my Chariot, which I've had in the bag for a very long time. This also shout out to Throw Joe's for this cool stamp. This is an infinite disc. I don't know what plastic it is. I think it's some kind of star splatter, but this one flies very, very straight. Probably the straightest disc I have, or straightest mid-range I have in my bag. Then I have this super cool Mako 3 I just put in my bag. This is the coolest stamp I've ever seen on a Mako 3. I love the splatter, and the team stamp and everything about it. This disc, I'm in love with it. But this flies just like the Chariot, but has more flip at the end. So yeah, like I just put it in my bag maybe like a month ago, so I'm still kind of learning how it flies, but otherwise it has pretty good flip at the end. Then for my Wombat 3, I've also had this disc in my bag for quite a bit. It is pretty beaten and very flippy. I can probably put it on like this angle and it'll still flip up, so it's nice for whenever I'm playing like a woods course and I need something to flip up and miss all the trees. Then I have another Wombat 3 in my bag, but this one is way flippier than the other Wombat 3 I just showed you. This one I have beaten quite a bit, and it flies maybe like a Rolo for how flippy it is. I could probably put it on this angle and it'll still turn over. So this one's really nice to get whenever you're in trouble in the woods. It's really nice to just have that to scramble out or use as a get out of jail free disc. And this one I just recently put in my bag. It is the Fox. This one's a really cool stamp, and it also has my newest stamp on it. I just put this one in my bag, but I've seen a lot of people throwing the Fox, the Emily Weatherman one, and I thought it felt really great, but I had the Rolo in my bag at the time, and I thought I didn't really need it, but I don't know, I think I like how this one feels more. The edge just feels so comfortable in my hand, and I love this plastic, so I'm kind of expecting this one to be quite flippy, probably flying like this Wombat right here, but I think you're going to be seeing this more in the future. Now moving on to fairway drivers, starting out strong with my Roadrunner. Another shout out to Throw Joe's. I love this disc so much. It is so good for whenever I play my home course pipeline, which is quite wooded. I can put it on like this angle and it'll nicely flip up. Or if I need a fairway driver to just hold an angle for me, I could probably put it on like a wide anhyzer and it'll just hold that flight the entire time. So this disc is super reliable, and I don't think I'll take it out of my bag until I lose it. Then moving on to kind of a fun disc, I have my super mega flippy Sidewinder. This is basically the Rolo version of a Sidewinder. At this point, it's just a utility disc, or if I'm just trying to show off to my friends, like this crazy big anhyzer, because it'll just hold that flight. And this disc works well for rollers, forehand rollers, maybe like a tomahawk. I think I'll be using this a lot to get out of jail. Then I have my super mega trusty dusty Firebird. This one's signed by Kat Merch, Calvin Heimberg, and Jennifer Allen, but it's kind of faded because I got that signature quite a bit ago. And this disc is so comfortable. Like, I think I know exactly how this disc flies every single time for me. I throw this disc on forehands really often because I think it just feels really great in my hand. Flies straight and then has a super nice reliable fade at the end. So I think I won't be taking out this disc from my bag until it gets too flippy. Then we have something similar to the Firebird. I have my Draco. This one is just like the Firebird, comfortable on both forehand and backhand, but this one has a little bit more dump at the end. And I use this for like maybe like a 350-foot par 3 where I just need to spike highs or something to the basket. So this disc is a really nice disc for that. Then we have one of my favorite discs of all time, the Dynasty. I love this disc so much, I can't even tell you. I feel so comfortable with this disc. I know exactly how it flies. It works so well for me in the woods because I can just throw it straight and it'll keep going straight, and then maybe with a little bit of fade at the end. It's kind of like my Roadrunner, but I think it may be just a tick more stable, and it's just so neutral, and I can literally put it on this angle and it'll keep that angle the entire time and then have a little bit of fade at the end. And since I love the Dynasty so much, I decided to bag another one. This one's a little bit fresher and new, so it does have a little bit more stability than the other one. So if I'm maybe in the open and I just need to throw something straight and have it fade for me just a teeny bit, this disc works really well. And even though they're only, I think, a 9-speed, they fly pretty far for me. Moving on to distance drivers, starting off strong with my Eva Wraith. This one has my U.S. Women's stamp on it. I lost this at Tallahassee like 4 months ago, and shout out to the gentleman that found this for me because this disc is awesome, but I think I got it back like a month and a half ago, and I haven't really thrown it much since, but since it flies so similarly to my other distance drivers, it's just nice to have in practice rounds as like a second. Let's say I throw a bad shot, this flies exactly like the other disc, and I can just throw it as a second shot, and it's neutral with a little bit of flip up. Then I have probably my favorite disc I have in my bag right now, the Juliana Corver Turn. This one's pretty rare, so it's kind of hard to find backups for it, so I get pretty sad whenever I can't find it. I think I've lost this disc like 3 times and have it returned for me, so it really just wants to leave me, but this disc works so well for me. I can throw it maybe straight and it'll have a nice flip up. Like I said, it works really well for me in the woods, and it's one of my bomber discs. So if I'm ever in the open, I can probably do that nice big anhyzer and it'll have a really nice flight for me. Then this one I just recently put in my bag. It's the Turn. I've always had a Turn in my bag, but I just thought that this disc looks so cool that I had to put it in my bag. This one flies just like my Juliana Corver Turn, but it has a little bit more bite, and it's just newer, so I'm sure once I beat it in, I'll feel more comfortable with it, and it'll start being a little bit more flippy. Then I have my strike. I had 2 different strikes. I had a blue team stamp one, and then I had a white or orange team stamp one that looked like this one, and I lost both of them. This is in the Halo Champ plastic, and I love the strike so much. It works really well for me in open courses or like a park style course. I can probably, just like I said, all my distance drivers basically fly the same, but there's just a tiny difference. I can throw this pretty straight, and then unless I'm powering up like full power, it won't really flip over for me too much, but I can probably throw this straight. It'll fly, just keep the flight the entire time, and then have a little bit of bite at the end. But if I'm throwing on anhyzer, it'll have that nice little S flight. Then I have this Baby Destroyer, and I'm pretty sure this is rare because this was gifted to me, and he let me know that these discs were pretty rare, and I think it has just the perfect amount of dome, and I think it's a little bit lightweight, so it just flies so well for me. It goes so far, and I love it in like an open course where I just need to absolutely bomb something, and I can just throw it on anhyzer and it'll have that really nice S flight, or I can just throw it straight and it'll flip up really nicely for me. Then for the last distance driver I have in this slot right here is my Destroyer. I've had this one in the bag for quite a bit now. This disc has the prettiest color of all time. The pink and teal is so pretty. This disc is quite overstable. Most of the time I'm throwing it on like a spike hyzer because this disc is overstable, so it's really nice on that spike hyzer angle. Or if I'm like trying to anhyzer something and have it fade back really quickly, this disc works for that really well too. And lastly, I have my secret weapons that I use for distance challenges. I don't know if you've seen those on my Instagram, but I have the Shrike and I have the Corvette. They're not they're not like the prettiest discs you've ever seen, but they fly so far. This is a 14-speed Corvette, so this is nice and flippy. It will flip up for me, and I can just throw it on that huge anhyzer, and it'll just fly forever. Then this is a pretty fun strike. It's in the Star plastic, and oh my gosh, look at that dome. Wait, let's do Sam some more. I mean, like, look at that. That is the domiest strike I've ever seen. This disc, I mean, if you can't just tell by the dome, it flies so far for me. It also is a little bit lightweight, so I can also just throw it on my anhyzer, and it'll just glide forever. Alright, well, that wraps up my 2026 in the bag brought to you by Squatch. If you're looking for a new bag this year, I highly recommend the Legend or the War. Use my promo code EVA, all capitals, for a small discount. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there.